welcome. I'm glad you all can make it. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us as well. And I think everyone already knows our board members, but I will go ahead and introduce folks quickly. Tom Pressing is our fearless leader and our president. Ms. Rebecca Grant is in charge of all things web and technical. Jeannie Jensen is in charge of volunteers, outreach, and is our people person. And I just work the numbers and, occasionally talk at meetings. So that's it for us. So thank you all for being here. I am going to go ahead and turn things over. Normally we would start with Chief McCulley, but we have Brian with us today, and I think you'll be speaking in the Chief's place. Is that correct, Brian?
I will attempt to, yes.
Fantastic. What do we need to know?
Well, so from my understanding, the email went out about emergency supplies, first aid kits, correct? Mm-hmm. About just the stuff we do. My 2 cents obviously is always having a first aid kit with you is usually extremely beneficial for those times where you may not get it, but then it comes in handy. I myself have one here. I keep it. We have a camper trailer that goes everywhere with us. Got it from survivalusa.com. A little pricey, but the great thing is that not only does it come with a booklet for depending upon your particular first aid needs at the time to walk you through how to handle whatever the situation is you're doing, but it also has an ebook and it's QR code. So it's just as simple as snapping a picture with your phone, and now you have an easy access way of telling you how to handle this, whether it's blunt trauma, bleeding control, anaphylactic, multitude of things. And it comes with a great variety of stuff that you would need. And they offer quite a few different kits. I have this one, and then I also have a snake bite kit because we do go camping a lot. So just the usual things you might need. They're also very easy to restock. They have a QR code that when you're out of something, you just snap it and it'll take you to their website to reorder stuff to refill it. Really great to have in your car, one in each car. One in the house, one in your go bag. Mm-hmm. They do, like I said, offer different sizes. They're as big as we're talking medic bags, backpack style that you would see paramedics carrying, down to this one, down to even little smaller ones. If buying a whole kit isn't necessarily what you're trying to do and you just want to have the basics, gauze, Band-Aids, the usual stuff you can think of, iodine, any kind of antiseptic that you just be needing for small things, are easy to put together. Stuff you can get at CVS, based upon your needs, like your skill set, what you're comfortable doing. If it's for your own self-care, or if you need to care for others, just take that always into consideration. But other than that, there's not really much else you can think of when it comes to the first aid kits. It really just depends on your needs. If there's anything else, any questions anybody might have, I'm happy to field them.
Brian?
Yes.
We sent out to our community the missive from the chief regarding home security. Do you have any follow-up considerations for our community regarding that email?
Well, home security, just
in other words, we had the,
or what to do.
Well, we had the situation where one of our residents confronted someone who had entered their home inappropriately.
Okay. I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that email. My only recommendation, obviously, security systems are key. Having them not only active while you are home, when you're inside the house, but when you're away. Certain things, I don't know how many people are familiar with the fact that, we do hand out, or we do give alarm monitoring signs that say, Atherton PD monitors alarm as a deterrent. A couple of those up in highly visible spots for anyone who may be trying to enter onto the property. Obviously, you have to walk from the exterior to get to the interior. So if there's something there to kind of make them think think twice. Cameras, whether real and or just for show, as well as a deterrence. If someone thinks that their face might be caught, they might be less likely to, enter onto a property. As well, just lighting during the night. Daytime, I mean, if someone's going to be as brazen as to try and walk into a house during the day, this is just something you have to deal with addressing that person, calling 911, telling them, I'm calling 911, get out of my house, addressing that aspect. Usually most these crooks who are burglars, that's what they're looking to do. They understand and they're aware that there's an enhancement with walking into a home where someone's in there. And so they don't want to be there. So you saying that is going to want them to get out of Dodge ASAP. Burglars are cowards. They want you to be away so they have as much time to look for your good stuff without being interrupted. And that's all they care about is property, because property is what gets them money. You being home is not going to get them anything. It's not going to help them at all. So security system wise, like there's a variety out there, your big commercial companies, A.D.A.P.T. So I've been up all night. I work night shifts, so my brain is getting a little foggy right now. But your big mainstream commercial companies, there are other companies out there where you can tailor the systems like Simply Safe. I use that in my own home, by going through and buying exactly how many sensors I need for how many doors, windows, such, motion sensors. Real simple and easy to set up, self-monitoring. So yeah, look for what's going to be best for your home. But like I do highly recommend a system that has a home setting and a away setting. Some systems only do away. Home is great because it turns off your motion sensors, but obviously the doors and everything works. And that's going to be the key there. So if you set it to home and no one should be coming home right now or walking in the house, and that thing starts going off, it's a good little deterrent for them to get out and for you to be aware and get safe.
Thank you, Brian. We have a request from somebody on chat. Could you introduce yourself and your background?
Yes, well, newly promoted sergeant. I've been with the Atherton Police Department for about 4.5 years now. Prior to that, I was with Redwood City for a short time. I've worked private security for a security corporation who does Apple Cupertino campus security, special events. I was a special assignment supervisor, handling any kind of we called it black cloth situations where prototype stuff was being housed somewhere and making sure that stuff stayed out of the public view. I also worked for the 49ers for their team security, as well as I've done a litany of other stuff. College athlete, the usual stuff you would see for a cop background. I am a little bit into the security stuff. I enjoy doing my research on that kind of stuff. So cameras and things, I have a little bit of knowledge. Yeah, currently for the department, I'm the Wednesday through Friday night patrol sergeant. I just came out of the detectives. I was the detective. And I'm also the defensive tactics, the taser instructor sergeant as well now. So
outstanding. Where'd you play your ball? In what college, university?
Oh, well, I went to CSU Stanislaus, and I ran track and field. I was a decathlete.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Well, thank you for joining us and being our representative to the community as well as the chief.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the updates. Tom, I think you have some updates for us as well.
Yes, I do, Colleen.
Good information.
Lots of really, really fantastic updates this time. First of all, as we're obviously aware of, we have continued fire and evacuation situations and smoke. I checked purple air just before I started talking, and it's currently at 99 in the monitor, which is down the street from my house. So the air is 150 is when it starts to get severe. So we still have smoke in the air. The zone fires are completely contained. However, as you've been following, the the glass fire continues to be a problem and is creating the smoke in our area. Just keep your evacuation plans in order. We're still in fire season, and have that awareness. A video of last month's meeting on evacuation planning will be on our website. Rebecca Grant represented us at the A.D.A.P.T. at the September 23rd wildfire prevention webinar. They had 3 priorities, which were vegetation management, home hardening, and communication. And we here at A.D.A.P.T. have a 4th one, which is evacuation planning and a bug out preparation in advance, which is what we'll talk about today. Some of the other highlights of the meeting, notes taken by Rebecca. Again, Rebecca, thank you for being our representative. 58% of Portola Valley Woodside is on SMC, and 20% of Atherton is on SMC alert. So it's important that area coordinators and those of you attending, that you remind our neighbors and our residents to get onto SMC alert, because that will be some of the best information you get along with our police department flash communications. Half Moon Bay is decided to use beaches and parking lots as shelter-in-place options in case of evacuation routes are blocked. Mr. Carpenter said he considered Baylands to Skyline as vulnerable. Chief Chappell-Homan mentioned that the vulnerability issues exist in the triangle and the homeless encampment in that 60-acre area. And then there was a conversation about homes with wood roofs being and decks being problematic, and that firefighters will make their decisions to work fires in homes, especially if there's multiple homes, whose roofs are not wood, because of the low probability of response success to homes that have wood roofs. So that was an interesting communication. So again, Rebecca, thank you for that. On a disaster psychology note, you may have noticed that the individuals around you may be experiencing states of scared, fear, anxiety, loss of control, uncertainty, frustration, and maybe even anger. We've been through a lot, just one thing after another. And these emotions are prevalent in a disaster or an emergency situation or a prolonged state of instability with an unknown future. We A.D.A.P.ters recognize this and take active steps for our own well-being and to assist our neighbors during these periods of challenge. One of the things that I've talked to a number of A.D.A.P.ters who are very active, and we all agree that there is a lot of support from our family, as well as a lot of impact on our families by being active A.D.A.P.ters. We are a certain personality type who not only are always looking and being vigilant about what could go wrong and having solutions for that before the fact, and also being able to do that for our neighbors. And that has a psychological impact on our families. And so do take care and tend to the good space in your own homes. I remind folks, scared is the emotion of inaction and fear is the emotion of action. Confident, educated, and prepared to act. So rather than being scared to death, be ready to fight or flight. A couple other training opportunities coming up. The Menlo Park Fire Protection District has an online first aid class. You can sign up by October 16th. We will be doing a follow-up email with the correct link. And so you will not be getting a first aid card, but if you take a look at the which we will have available, the list of topics covered, it's quite a class. I'm signed up for it. Our sister organization in Menlo Park in South County, which is MPC Ready, we have a Get Ready class every second Thursday of the month, which I usually give. You can sign up at www.mpcready.org. So I do the Get Ready class every Thursday, second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. It's open to all residents of the district. Brian talked about security. Use your A.D.A.P.T. awareness with your neighbors to create a bubble of security around your block. And that's how you keep, you know, folks who want to borrow your stuff from borrowing your stuff. We had a video last month about brownouts. So you can take a look at that. Just be aware that PG&E is still in advising about brownouts. The key here is to have some kind of backup lighting and backup power, especially to run your security systems and your medical equipment. Very important. Continue to be vigilant about COVID-19. You know, it's still here, doing its thing. One piece of information I'd like to share with you. I'm kind of a metrics geek, so I keep track of the San Mateo County Health Department's COVID information. And it's interesting to note. So first of all, Atherton has had 42 cases. And in our area, so San Mateo County has 757,000 people. And the number of cases per population of COVID is 1.39% for our area plus, so Menlo Park and Atherton. The percentage of death per case is 1.5%, and the percentage of death per population is 0.02%. So when you start seeing, you know, cases like we have here of 10,126, do realize that that represents 1.39% of the population of San Mateo County, and only 0.21% of the county as well. And last but not least, you'll probably all heard about the earthquake swarm down in Southern California. So if there wasn't anything else going on, we still have to be very vigilant about, you know, our canopy fire situation and earthquakes. So do what you can to keep yourself mentally and physically healthy. Do shared activity with your family to keep your family in a good place and keep your spidey senses up. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you, Tom. Good advice. I think you sort of painted us all as people who are adherents to Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. But I like the fact that you think we're all prepared, and I would agree with that. I think we tend to think about these things, whereas a lot of our friends and neighbors may not. So kudos to all of you for keeping on top of that. All right, so our next item on the agenda is recruiting. As you know, our board for A.D.A.P.T has contracted a little bit, and we lost Ms. Norma up to the North Bay, which is leaving a huge hole in the organization. We are currently seeking someone who may wish to be a vice president of A.D.A.P.T. And of course, no experience is required for this position, just some amount of enthusiasm for emergency prep. Norma was a unique individual in that she had loads and loads of energy, and she was constantly on the go and doing all sorts of things. We are not expecting someone to necessarily bring that very high level of Norma energy to the party. We just need someone who's willing to pitch in here and there. So do not feel that you saw what Norma did and think this is something that I can't do. We're looking for people who can contribute in any way. And if you think about it, we're going back to the old saying, more hands make light work, right? So if you can join us, we would really, really appreciate it. Even if you don't want to serve in the VP role, if you have any desire to be more involved with A.D.A.P.T, we would love to have you join the board and contribute in the way that your time and your lives allow. So please keep that in mind.
Is there a job description?
That's yes and no. As I mentioned, Norma did so much that if we put that out there, nobody would ever want to do it. So we modify the job description to fit the volunteers' time and abilities. So for example, if you wanted to come in, Norma did a lot of web stuff, but if you wanted to do the job, you may not like the web stuff. Well, fortunately, we have Rebecca, who's outstanding at this stuff. So she's taken that on. We wouldn't expect you to do the same pieces that Norma was doing because she's, you know, truly an incredible person. So you might have better marketing skills. So we would go ahead and work with you on what you wanted to contribute to the organization, and we'll all just juggle around so that, you know, we do the things that we're good at and, you know, not the things that we aren't interested in or don't like. So if you're interested, let us know. The other thing I wanted to mention, I believe I mentioned last meeting that I am in the process of selling my house. Feel free to make an offer. But once that's done, my husband and I are moving to Nevada. And I just wanted to put it out there that my position in finance will also be available, or treasurer, I think is our role. We use QuickBooks as our system of accounting, and it is really simple. We don't have a lot of transactions. We don't have a lot of money to manage. It is not a complicated thing, and does not take very long either. So don't let these titles fool you. You can probably make it into more than it is, but it's pretty minor right now. So again, please, if you have any interest whatsoever in joining us, we would really like to have you consider it. And it does not necessarily take a lot of past experience in anything. We're happy to walk you through. So that's my pitch. I hope you will all consider it and think about what you might want to do on the board, because it's really fun to be involved. And you get to meet great people. So, all right, that's enough of that. I'm going to pass the baton now over to Jean, who is going to give us an introduction to our workshop today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Colleen. We are doing, as we advertised and promoted, a really quick workshop and introduction as a follow-up to last month's meeting, which was all about writing and customizing your evacuation plan. This month is talking about the basics of what everyone should have in various types of emergency kits and supply kits around their home and with them at all times. We'll be talking about what we call a bug out bag or a go bag. Those are the same thing. A traveler's kit, which can be stored in your vehicle or mode of transportation, and then lightly touch on home disaster supplies. We want this to be a reminder for people who already have kits to refresh them and to always be considering how your daily life is evolving with COVID, what supplies you need to add to a kit you already have. Or, if this could be a way to spark some interest for you to just go all in and get a supply kit for yourself, whether it's pre-made or, beginning to build it yourself. So that's our goal for you today, is just to provide information. Tom's going to be doing some show and tell on some supplies that we believe every human needs. And then from there, we'd love for you guys to customize in the coming months and days and weeks. Please write down your questions. This is a workshop. Type them in the chat and we will get to them. We have Colleen who's going to facilitate the Q&A at the end. And if you have any questions afterwards, you can email any of us. One quick reminder, if you want a summary to this meeting, please message me on the Zoom chat right now with your email address so we can get that to you. We don't automatically get everyone's emails correlated to their name here. So please email or chat me with your email address if you want a summary of this meeting for people who couldn't attend or if you wanted a reminder. Other than that, we can jump in.
All right, just a brief reminder as well that also in the chat, Jeannie has been putting links to everything linkable that we are mentioning. So keep an eye on the chat if you're interested in those links. And Tom, why don't you take it away?
Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to A.D.A.P.T. You're part of a community of citizen first responders that really is unique in our area. Again, reminding all of you that only 3 resident emergency response organizations were actually activated during COVID. Ourselves, Palo Alto, and Morgan Hill. We did a fabulous job, and inside of 6 hours just recently, 3 weeks ago, while the chief was up in Bozeman, Montana, when our purple air went to 230, which means we should be considering shelter in place, I called him not knowing he was in Montana. And between he and I and Commander Wade and George Rodericks, our town manager, and Rebecca, we were able to get out notifications from the police department and A.D.A.P.T. to all of our A.D.A.P.T. community members and general community members inside of 6 hours, which is a remarkable feat, going from no notification and having to build it, get all the clearances necessary to send it out. So I want to congratulate everyone who's involved. I want to congratulate all of you, because you are the reason why we are so successful and will continue to grow as an organization with Brian and with the chief. First responders are not going to be available. It says here may not be available. They're not going to be. It's going to be 5 days, maybe 7. That means that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to do all those critical things that first responders do. Infrastructure will be compromised, as you know, on August 7th, 2007, Mr. Barry Bonds hit a home run at 8:51 p.m. and all the cell sites went down. He took out one person took out every provider in the Bay Area, because 45,000 people got on their cell phones at the same time and crashed the system. It was down for 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Towers will be down, cell service will be disrupted, which means no internet and no cell phones. So therefore, preparedness is self-sufficiency. Okay. In general recommendations, store your equipment in multiple locations so that if part of your property is compromised, you don't wipe out all of your equipment by one tree or one situation. Prioritize and expand your needs, and then think about, okay, what else would I do? But take care of the basic needs first. Buy a shelf-stable food and water and equipment. That includes medical equipment, or monitor it regularly. Always store extra batteries, and waterproof and pest-proof your supplies. You can read that. Any products or resources listed in relationship to or recommended by A.D.A.P.T. are provided as is and without any guarantees or warranties by A.D.A.P.T. Use any of the products or resources by a user and are at user's sole risk. That's our little proviso. Real quick, I want to clarify something. There is a difference between a go bag and a bug out bag. A while back, we were able to arrange with Simpler Life down in Redondo Beach, and we purchased a large number of go bags, which are the rollout bags for our CERT area coordinators in a disaster. So the A.D.A.P.T. go bag is actually an emergency response bag specifically for a block-wide, neighborhood-wide, or area-wide disaster. A bug-out bag is for you and your family. It's for evacuation. It's one bug-out bag per person. You store it at home near an exit. My bug-out bag is always in my car, but you have it near an exit. We do have a video on our YouTube channel, and we're going to talk about bug-out bag basics today. So what we've done is we've divided our needs into a number of critical areas. The first and most important area is air, because without air, you can only last about 3 minutes. So if you're just going to do the basics, we're recommending an N95 mask or a surgical mask. If you want to add to that, you would add goggles and boost oxygen. We've talked about boost oxygen. Matter of fact, just gave some to my granddaughter up, and she's a manager up at Webb Horse Ranch. Passed it out to her staff. It is lightweight, doesn't weigh anything. It's used by high altitude athletes, people who climb Mount Everest, and for airline pilots. I've been taking, during this smoke-filled environment, I've been taking 4 shots of the 95% oxygen per day because I'm an older gentleman. Next. Shelter. So you can live in a harsh environment. You can live without shelter for about 3 days. So if you're going to be staying in your car, what you want, which would be your first basic shelter. Car has tremendous opportunity for shelter, security, and power. You would want an emergency blanket, a poncho, and work gloves. The emergency blanket would go under your poncho. The poncho would help you keep heat in along with the blanket, protect you from rain, and the work gloves protect your hands in an environment where there's going to be sharp objects, but secondarily keep heat in. So there's a twofer there with the gloves. Oh, by the way, if you want to add a tent, this is an add-on. If you want to add a tent to your bug out bag, you certainly can. Water, well, we know that you can, you may be able to, go with 3 days without shelter, but water also is 3 days. You can go with 3 days without water, and then you need anything. So the key to water is portability and access. So you can get drinking water in, as we show there, in small bags. You can get them in the Costco case for storage, where you would pull out 5 or 6 bottles. The Costco case is one person for 1 week. It has 40 bottles in it. So that literally is one person for 1 week. Also, water comes in tins and has something like a 10-year shelf life, though it's expensive. You can certainly get water purification tablets. And though elsewhere it is considered an add-on, in my kit it is not, and that's the Life Straw bottle, which not only gives you the ability to take water and filter it and drink it safely, but now you have a bottle that is storage as well. Remember, water is 1 gallon per person per day. You're going to need to take some food with you. So if you're going to do the basics, I recommend MREs. I know they get a bad rap because they're military style food, but for the period of time that you're going to need them, and the bug out bag is mostly designed for 3 days, because the goal of a bug out bag is to get you to an evacuation center, like up in Santa Rosa, the Veterans Center or the fairgrounds, or into a motel, which is what I helped people do this past week. So MREs, power bars. If you're going to expand that, then you would use canned vegetables and meat. You can get canned roast beef now, canned chicken, and canned tuna. You can use dry fruit. Make sure you have a can opener. There are a lot of food options, but the basics would be what we are seeing there. Some power bars and some MREs. An MRE is a meals ready to eat, and it's 1 full meal. Communications. We're recommending that you have an ID on a lanyard, and in the ID you should have your your driver's license, your Medicare card, and then you could have your Social Security card if you want, but more importantly, it would be better to have some information about you in terms of your medical situation. So the big three would be driver's license, Medicare card, medical information on a small insert, and then your Social Security. The radio there is a wind-up radio, and that's for communications. What you see there also is a charger. You can also use, there's an adapter for your car that you can turn your car into a charger for your equipment. But remember, the cell phones are probably not going to work. So, but when it gets back, you'll want to be able to use them. It's very important to have a whistle. Whistle is, besides your own physical voice, is one of the best basic tools for communication. And here in A.D.A.P.T, we use the Coast Guard signaling technique, which is one whistle means attention on me, two whistles is assemble on me, and three whistles, wherever I am, there is danger or I need assistance. So it's called the 3-2-1 system. The emergency radio stations for your wind-up radio there are AM 680, AM 740, AM 810, and FM 81.9, which is actually is housed at Menlo Atherton High School and is our local emergency response radio. Also, as an add-on, I would, in my case, it's not an add-on. I have 4 FRS radios. I recommend 2 so that you and whoever's in the car can have a communication link. I have 4, and those of you who have ham radios, make sure you have your ham radios as part of your bug out bag. Lighting. We're recommending headlamps rather than flashlights. An add-on would be a flashlight. The reason why we want headlamps is because we want you to be hands-free, especially in a disaster, especially at night. You want to be hands-free. Also, we're recommending light sticks. And by the way, light stick signaling is the same as whistles. You would hold one light stick up and, you know, attention on me. You'd hold up 2 light sticks, assemble on me. And if you held up 3 light sticks, I need help, I need assistance, we have an emergency here. So that would be your basic lighting. You can certainly add a flashlight if you wish. Medical kits. As Brian talked about, you can buy specialized medical kits. I have one of the overblown kits. I have a full-on military Iraq medical kit that has surgical equipment in it and whatever, but then I'm a little overboard on that. And it's a military field kit. But do get a kit that's family size. Make sure you have enough equipment in there, and don't be afraid to add on to it. It's important that you do. With the medical kit, I am recommending that as part of your basic kit that you add a product called Quick Clot. And I have 2 of them, and it's an incredible application that will stop bleeding. So again, get a medical kit that fits your family and find out your family needs, and do not be afraid to add on to your medical kit.
And note that this is one of the other supply items that you need to monitor expiration dates on.
Oh, thank you.
Foreign expires, failing.
Thank you, Jeannie. That's very important. So again, yes, it does expire. So, you know, check it out. Food and medical equipment need your attention. Okay, Doka, hygiene kit. It is important to have a personal hygiene kit for everybody. You can make your own using a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. You can get them pre-made. People like Simpler Life have, you know, male and female kits. We're recommending also that you add COVID supplies, which would mean, so you can see here, there's already a hand sanitizer in this. So we recommend you that add a couple extra surgical masks and maybe, I would add 5 pairs of surgical gloves to my kit. Make sure you have toilet paper. Okay, so you can see the kind of the items you would have. You can have a toothbrush, but make sure you have, obviously you would use water if you're not using toothpaste. But as you can see there, and then for women's kits, you would have other additions. Have a multi-tool. Weatherman makes them, but definitely have a multi-tool. And I recommend that as part of your basic kit is that you have a shovel that has a pick on it, so that it's a shovel that the pick part collapses or the shovel part collapses. And the reason being is you may not have the availability of a hygiene unit, a toilet that stands up off the ground, and you may have to dig a hole in the ground. So have the ability to use a pick to dig a hole and a shovel. Also, in a situation where you may want to have a clearing, you can use the shovel to create a fire break.
Tom, 9:45.
Thank you. Okie doke. Then personal items, there's the lanyard. We've got prescriptions and glasses. We have child care and pet care. We do have a child care checklist created by Erica Bailey, who was a presenter to A.D.A.P.T. So Erica, thank you for that. We also have a pet checklist with a presentation that was made also by John Mosby. Thank you, John, for that. Those will be on the website. In addition to personal items, I would have a couple of quart Ziploc bags and 4 1-gallon Ziploc bags. They come, they turn out to be very valuable to protect things and collect things up. Any questions right now, real quick, about a basic bug out bag? Now we can go into expanded equipment, but we thought we would just share with you what the basics should be and why they should be there.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Well, I don't see any questions. We've had a few come in, but we'll aggregate all those at once.
Okay.
Real quick, before we jump into the home disaster supplies, once again, please message me in the chat with your email address if you want access to this meeting and this recording. And we will put the images on our website in some fashion, maybe this PowerPoint, for you guys to access. When you're looking at bug out bag purchases or go bag purchases, like Tom said, you can buy pre-made ones and add on from there, but having something is better than nothing, as you guys know. That's true for almost anything in this world. But you can go to Simpler Life. You can go to Redwood Trading Post. It's always good to support local. And Ace Hardware, there's a few different places where you can look online. Be sure if you buy a pre-made bag to open it up and see what's in it, because you don't want to be unpackaging plastic wrap from something you need right away and it ends up taking you 10 minutes because you can't unwrap it. So familiarize yourself with these supplies.
And follow. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeannie. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
real quick, with Simpler Life, I know the president of the company, and I, by the way, get no money from them. What we did with the go bags, we purchased, I think 30 of them and got a huge discount, number one. And the price that is listed in our website is the discounted price. But we also saved an enormous money on shipping because we got it brought in on one pallet. I helped Sharon Oaks Association get 50 of them. And we were able to save enormous amount of money and got 50 of these bug out bags to the Sharon Oaks community. So If you're looking for that simpler life product, maybe we get to, send in your emails, and then we will bulk purchase it and save the shipping costs. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you. For the car kit and traveler kit, this is one of those nuanced items that we're already getting into the customized world. Whether you may not have a vehicle, you may not be driving, you may have 4 cars. This is something to think about. If you guys are needing to evacuate quickly from the town, if you're at work and your employer may not have supplies, it's really important to have a set of supplies that apply to you. I have my CERT bag in there where I can help with first aid, whereas things in my go bag are purely just for me and my husband. In our car kit, we have a lot more food, and if I get caught in a snowbank on my way to Tahoe, I'm set for a few days. It's very important to customize this stuff, have extra power, have a fire extinguisher, and make sure you have supplies individually in each vehicle you have. And we're gonna jump really quick to talk about home disaster essentials. This is important for quite a few reasons, but we all have, in Atherton, it's a different beast. We may have a home that's not livable anymore after a disaster, but our property may be livable. We may be choosing to not evacuate after something, but it's safe to still stay on property. We need to have camp out supplies, ways that you guys can survive on your property safely. Extra food, all of the stuff being stored in a secure location, and enough for everyone who lives in your household, not just the people you care about, but everyone who's on the property. So with that, we're gonna show you a basic set checklist, just like we showed you with the bug out bag. That's downloadable on our website. And please, please, please think about, let this spark your interest on how you can customize this for yourself. Colleen mentioned recently, we were on a call, she doesn't like MREs. So she's planning accordingly with other food to have that's still shelf stable. So know yourself and think about what you're doing in everyday life and the supplies you may need. Could be extra towels, could be lots of various things, but don't forget to take care of yourself, even on a home disaster.
Okay, so again, you can only survive 3 days without water. You can get 7-gallon containers. I have the one on the right there is a 50-gallon container. I have what is called a Polymart 150. It's a product that comes out of Texas, comes in all kinds of colors, so it blends with your house. And it's 150 gallons. It has a footprint of 42 inches by 5 feet, 42-inch diameter. It's unobtrusive. It has a spigot at the bottom and a spigot in the middle. And that's more than enough water for me. Matter of fact, I'm getting rid of my 50-gallon drums as a result of it. Figure out, it's 1 gallon per person per day. Figure out how you want to do it. You can store water, the Costco water, in a corner of a room. You can get 7-gallon containers, or you can get those larger containers. Oh, what's important, if you do get a larger container, make sure you have at least 1 spigot at the bottom and preferably 2, 1 in the middle as well. Well, we'll leave this slide up. But one other thing, remember, in water, you have to account for hydration, medical use, and food preparation. So you want to be thinking about all 3 of those. One of those things that people forget about is the use of water in medical applications. Thank you, Rebecca. For food, having been in the United States Army for 6 years, I can eat MREs and I can understand how they are not necessarily palatable for everyone. So come up with alternatives. You can have, as I said, we now have canned, chicken, beef, turkey, pork, tuna, salmon in cans. You can use Skippy, which lasts a long time. Canned vegetables and canned fruit, dried fruit, protein bars. I definitely would have coffee, tea, sugar, and powdered creamer. Another staple that goes a long way is which I have, by the way, powdered eggs, powdered potatoes, powdered milk, and then I have powdered juice and powdered, oh, not powdered, but pasta. Make sure you have a mess kit with utensils for your barbecue pit. Remember to use up your refrigerated food first and then frozen, which is why you probably want a generator so you can keep your freezers going for a while. In terms of air, you can only last 3 minutes with your air. So along with your family size medical kit and quick clot, make sure you have a boost oxygen and goggles and also eye drops. Also, I recommend, along with the quick clot, for home essentials, I'd like you to have a tourniquet. And we teach it at A.D.A.P.T, and we'll be teaching in that medical class how to use one. Okay, for general tools, we're recommending that you have an escape ladder. You have a generator if you want to keep power going. I have a larger generator, but I believe that it's a little expensive, but it's also the most reliable and has a very low decibel level, and that's the Honda 3000i, and that will easily run your household needs and your refrigerators and freezers. Make sure you have at least one 5-gallon jerry can or metal can of gas. I recommend metal cans because they are stronger and don't collapse in a disaster or an earthquake, and they don't deteriorate the plastic into the fuel. So go ahead and do that. A jerry can costs about $49. Have a shovel with a pick, as I said before, and an axe. Then have your turn-off tools. There are all kinds of, by the way, there's all kinds of ladders, but find the one that you like. As I told you, as I shared with you last time, when the granddaughters were living here, twice a year, they had to go down the ladder and up the ladder, and then the reward for that was Baskin-Robbins.
May I just interject here?
Yes.
When you get your turn-off tool, test it out on your meter, because I got a nice fancy turn-off tool in my CERT training, and I went to stick it next to my meter, and it wouldn't fit because of the older construction of the house and the way the meter is inserted. So test it out, and so you don't panic when you actually might need it.
Oh, thank you, Colleen. That's a good reminder. Thank you. Okie doke. There are all kinds of hygiene units. The most basic is, our pick and shovel, our toilet papers, maybe some sanitizer napkins. Then you see the next level up, which is the bucket kind with a cover, and then you can get more expensive ones that recycle with plastic bags. Whatever you wish to do. Remember, this is going into your home essentials, which is going to be stored in a Rubbermaid ark, a large containerized unit, or in a shed. Lanterns. I'm recommending that you get the lanterns that are the pop-up kind, that they squoze them down to about 3 inches, then you pop them back up and they're about 6 inches. The one right there I actually have, and it throws off, they're LED, and it throws off an enormous amount of light, and yet are incredibly compact. And I definitely would get 4. Make sure your batteries are stored separately. Oh, by the way, when you store batteries, you see that cluster of batteries, that's usually, it comes wrapped that way. Take the time to separate them into 4s in separate plastic, and then that plastic in another plastic container, so that if one of those batteries goes bad and starts to oxidize, you don't lose the entire grouping of 12. Other personal items. There are lots of things you can do. First of all, documents, driver's license, passport, your real ID. putting all of your property ownership, investments, insurances, vehicle ownerships at all, will and trust on a flash drive. Personal and medical information of each of your family members, put that on a personal, on your flash drive. The IDs should be in a lanyard for everyone. In terms of warmth, create a fire starter kit. The easiest one to do is dryer lint, which is highly flammable, a steel wool, and a small 9-volt battery. You put the 9-volt battery against the steel wool, it'll flame up. You put the flame on your lint, and then have a little kindling bundle, and you're ready to go, along with, let's say, waterproof matches and a lighter. In terms of shelter, I would recommend that you have, so I have a 2-person tent, which is only going to barely fit 2 people, but because I don't want to have a lot of space. But if this is home essentials, remember a 4-person tent holds 2 people. If you have 4 people in the house, then have 2 tents. I have canopies for each of my tent for both summer and winter protection. The canopy keeps the heat out over the tent, so the canopy is over the tent, and then obviously in the winter time, it's protecting the tent from rain and other environmental situations. Also, with your tent, make sure you have a repair kit and have string, rope, wire, Bondic, or super glue. That'll allow you to make new patches. And then a couple other things real quick as add-ons for personal items. Family self-defense. Boat horns, 200, it's a 200 decibel boat horn. Make sure you face it away. It will, in fact, shock someone, and it actually will create a concussive force. A 2,000 plus lumen flashlight with a strobe will disable someone or disorient them. Pepper spray, taser, or flares. Those are all non-lethal. I would definitely go to Safeway has them. Has the 2-gallon Ziploc bags, and they have great use. And Smart and Final has the 2.5-gallon bags. I definitely would have Ziploc bags in my kit. A mirror, a large hunting knife with stone so you can keep it sharp. You may want a sewing kit, cash, duct tape. Duct tape's very, very useful. Again, FRS radios. In my home essentials, I have 4 in my ARC, and I have my ham radio. And then the last 2 points, as far as clothing goes, you want a jacket, a hat or a pullover cap, 2 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of underwear, 1 t-shirt, a shirt, your lanyard, and be thinking always of layered clothing. Now, you may want to add on to that, but that would be a basic to have in, you can get the 4-gallon Ziploc bag, and you can store all of your clothing in that, so it's protected. But think about layered clothing and what basically you would need. And then in terms of—
Perfect, Tom.
Okay, time to go?
We have a bunch of questions. I just
Okay.
want to, this is all great, but I want to make sure we address them.
Right.
You can make your last point.
Okay, this is last point. For evacuation, you want a compass, a GPS kit, not necessary, but you may want one, maps, and hotel and motel and friends' phone numbers. And that is it.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleen, take it away.
I will take it away. We have 4 questions so far that have come up in the chat. So let me address those. And if you have questions out there, you can either put them in chat and I will get to them, or the alternative is you can raise your hand. And to do that, not on the little pictures because I won't see those probably, but if you go to the bottom of your screen, you will see that there are participants. If you click on that, it brings up a list of participants on the call today. And at the bottom of that list, you will see a little raise hand button. So if you press that button, I will be paying attention to those things and we will definitely get to you. So let's start out. Woody had several good questions. Woody, I can see you were paying attention this whole time. So let's start with the first one. And Woody's first question was on communications. We know that phone lines will definitely go down and communication can be quite difficult. This question would be either for Tom or maybe Frank, who is on the CERT radio communications team, or perhaps John Mosby, who is also quite active in emergency radio communications. Could one of you please address how do we expect to communicate in a disaster? John, do you want to start us off?
Go ahead.
Maybe John's not on any longer.
No, I'm here. Go ahead, Tom.
The way we have it set up for A.D.A.P.T. is that the first communication will be by voice up and down the block. Obviously, then you can use a whistle. Then at your E.A.P., you would send up a local walkie-talkie. They're called FRS radios or GMS-RS radios, a local net. You would be communicating back and forth with people walking around in your neighborhood, doing your reconnaissance, attending to folks who are injured, and then managing your E.A.P. shelter-in-place site. Hopefully somebody in your neighborhood at your E.A.P. has a ham radio, and then using the ham radio, you're calling up to the Atherton EOC with the what's called a SITREP situation report, or the situations, what's going on in your neighborhood, whereby they can prioritize response to you. John, do you have anything else?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, Tom. Don't forget, the first person on the air assumes the role of net control, and feel free to turn it over when somebody with more experience comes on. But take notes. You will need to record all of the information that you're getting.
So it's important when you get to your E.A.P. that you have a scribe attached to your net person, the person that's managing your net, and then that you pass it on up. We do have a class called Radio Relay, which we actually do conduct live in our meetings. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to meet live, but we actually have done 2 radio relays to actually practice how to rapidly set up a FRS radio network, simulating we were in a neighborhood, and then actually going out and seeing how far we can communicate. So that's in our future.
Thank you very much. The next question I'm just going to go ahead and answer. It was a question about how long is bottled water that you might be keeping in, say, your car trunk or in a house good for. And according to the FDA, they say that your bottled water will be good for approximately 2 years. And if you like carbonated water, that's only good for a year. So keep that in mind. What I do with my supplies is I mark the date that I buy that case of water that's in there. And then every time, I use a case, I swap out a case that I'm using with the case in the earthquake kit and just keep them rotating that way. Of course,
is that true for the aquatainer that he showed?
The aquatainer you're going to have to keep tabs on as well. So the bigger containers you will likely need to add something to after a while, but if you add something to it, it does last longer. Tom, can you speak on that briefly?
Yes. So for the for a 50-gallon and above, they make a bottle of basically it's bleach that has a 5-year life. In other words, to keep the water clear for 5 years.
What about the 7-gallon?
The 7-gallon has the same shelf life, which will be 2 years.
All righty. Our next question is from Scott. He wanted to ask if Tom could please comment on homeowners associations and the types of kits that they might organize briefly.
Okay, so I've worked with Felton Gables, Sandhill Circle, and Sharon Oaks associations. Sharon Oaks, for example, has bug out bags for individuals, and we were able to order 50 of those. We have go bags for the 6. So we have 190 homes up in Sharon Oaks, and they have 6 areas. They have 6 area coordinators, and each of them has a go bag, which is like your CERT kit, except it's augmented. So those of you who take the CERT class, you get the CERT backpack. Well, we just augmented it. So that's the equipment. They have a clubhouse, so we have provisioned their clubhouse. We're using FRS radios as the local communications with a ham uplink at the clubhouse. So if you were in a homeowners association, I would have go bags for those who are rolling out into the disaster to help the neighborhood, and everybody has a go bag. And if you have a clubhouse, then you provision the clubhouse accordingly. At Sharon Oaks, we have a mini medical center because we're on our own. We have a communications center, and we have additional survival blankets, ponchos, and additional food and water.
Very good. Thank you. The next question is from Woody as well, and this has to do with additives for gasoline. Many of us in our earthquake kits may have generators that require gasoline. We might have gas cans that we use for perhaps power tools such as, God, what are those things called? You cut tree limbs with, you know what I mean.
Chainsaw.
Yeah, chainsaw. Thank you very much. The word wouldn't come. So we want to make sure that the gas is good. Is there something we should be putting in those gas cans to make sure that the equipment is usable? And also, what about draining gas from your power system as well? Can you address that, Tom?
Yes. So some people drain the gasoline out of their generators. What I do is I test my generator once. I have 2 of them, so I test both of my generators once a month. I keep them half full. I have an additional 5-gallon container for each of them that's metal. I'm testing them. I do not drain them. I want to be able to have at least, if something happens, at least have the tank half full. My vehicle is always 100% full, so every Saturday morning early, I go to Costco and get it filled up. There are products, and I do believe in gas stabilizers. There is a product called Stable, but there's another there's an STP product, but there are other products out there that you add to your gasoline, and the purpose of those stabilizers is to reduce the amount of condensation or water vapor in your gas. So that's what it does, is it pulls out water. So I recommend, yes, getting stabilizers for your gasoline storage.
Thank
So
you.
I read about that I was looking up pool fire suppression systems, and it talked about I've never heard of such a thing as a gas stabilizer, but it actually works. Does it work for years?
I recommend that every 6 months you add stabilizer, because so what it is an alcohol-based product that pulls water out of your gasoline. So the best way to do it is, because I'm testing both of my generators once a month. If I start hearing that little bit of a hiccup, okay, then I'm making sure I'm adding stabilizer, because that may be that I've got a little bit of water vapor in my fuel mix.
Got it. Thanks.
All right, we had a question from Mary that was answered privately, but I'm going to ask Jeannie to please address the entire group, because it's an excellent question. We all have E.A.P.s in our area, and the question is, what if mine is not the closest E.A.P. to where I live? And for example, my 92-year-old father probably won't make it down the street to our E.A.P. So how do we deal with that?
I think first and foremost, Tom may have a different opinion. You should go to the EAP that's closest to your residence or wherever you are at that moment. The plan you should make ahead of time, though, is to email your area coordinator. Find out what area you're in. We have amazing area coordinators, I think 14 of them, and they may have an additional plan on top of that. If you have multiple EAPs, which are those little 4-foot signs you see around the town, that's where you meet in a disaster after you've taken care of yourself, your family, and your direct neighbors. Meet there. Your area coordinator may have a plan for a specific group that's meeting at one of the signs, and then another group that's meeting at another sign. Get in communication with them and to find out more.
And of course, to find out who your area coordinator is, if you don't know, for those of you who are newer to our meetings, you can go to the A.D.A.P.T website, which is getreadyatherton.org. And on our splash page, the first page you come to, if you just scroll down, you will see where you can hit find my area and my coordinator. So it's all right for you. Tom, you were going to say something?
Jeannie hit the mark right on. Go to your nearest EAP, and then take advantage of the FRS network that will be created at your EAP, connecting you to other EAPs. We have channels for each of the channel assignments for each of the areas, and that's part of our communications education when we get back together live.
Right. All right, I'm afraid we are at the end time of our meeting. So just a few business essentials, does anyone have an urgent question that they are jumping up and down to ask?
What was the name of the gas can that Tom mentioned? The metal gas can?
Yeah, they're called jerry cans. They're just a 5-gallon metal can. Some are round, some are the typical square ones that you used to see on the old Jeeps. You can get them online or at Ace Hardware. There's no brand, I don't know the brand name, but they're usually red. The ones on, sometimes the ones online happen to be military green.
All right, thank you very much. As far as the business portion of the meeting goes, as the treasurer, I am obligated to tell you that we have $5,835.20 in our A.D.A.P.T funding. Thank you to all of you who are donating, and also to those who have used Amazon Smile. Again, Amazon Smile, if you just choose us as your preferred charity, we get a few cents on every purchase you make. So keep that in mind, because the holidays are coming up really fast. And we do appreciate your support. Again, unlike nonprofits that pay themselves, we are entirely a volunteer force. Nobody gets paid. Nobody gets a cushy office. It's all of the money that you donate, 100% of that goes towards emergency supplies, keeping our website updated, making sure you have the information you need when you need and when something comes up. So we're doing pretty well that way.
Pauline?
We really have administrative costs. Yes, Tom.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Mayor DeGolia and the town council and George Rodericks. Every year, the Atherton Town Council sees the value in A.D.A.P.T, and they do fund us, which allows us to put our EAPs up, add additional capability to our website, and to add provisions to our 3 mobile caches. So thank you, Mayor DeGolia and Town Council.
Agreed. Thank you to the town for their support and for attending our meetings. So it's nice to have the mayor with us today, and we often have many city council folks as well as fire district. Sean Ballard is here representing as well. So thank you all for joining us. Are there any other issues before we wrap up for the day?
One final reminder to message me really quick if you want this emailed summary. If you don't think you're on our email list, go to our website to get additional information. This was a very, very high level basic meeting to help you guys think about emergency supplies and get top of mind. So get in communication with us and we want to help you.
And one final note before we go, you have our emails. We're on the website. So we have A.D.A.P.T. emails for the board. If you have an idea for a meeting topic that you would like to have us present or talk about, please feel free to let us know. We are here to serve the community. So if you want it, we will try to make it happen. And I think that's it for the day. So thank you all for coming along. Tom, do you want to say anything in closing?
My only closing remark is I want to congratulate again A.D.A.P.T. during this incredible period starting January 23rd through the present for maintaining our community's resilience and response capability in conjunction with our Chief of Police and Brian, our new liaison, the Town Council and the manager. We have created an exemplary response capability that others are looking at to emulate. So thank you all and congratulations.
Thank you, Tom and Colleen and Jean.
Well, thank you all for attending. We'll see you next month.
Okie dokie.